Good morning, everybody. Hello, how's everybody doing? Guess what? I just got up at about an hour ago, and I'm feeling okay. I only had 4 hours of sleep. Can you believe it? 4 hours of sleep. I look okay, don't I? I almost canceled today's live stream because I thought I was gonna look horrible, but I'm feeling okay. And although I only had 4 hours of sleep, I think I had a deep sleep, and I'm feeling great. And plus, I want to say hello to you guys and talk to you. Thank you, Jean. Glad you like my haircut. I just got it cut yesterday. It looks the same though, doesn't it? Or do you notice that I have a haircut? Hi, Mindy's mom. Good to see you. And Kuroneko and Nasha Broad. Hey, and Louis. Hey, thank you for coming again. Yeah, it looks different. Thank you. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, everybody. You guys are always so nice to me. Anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Tokyo. It is the perfect autumn day, like early autumn. Obviously, lack of sleep. Early autumn. The weather is warm, but not hot, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. I wish I could go out and I don't know, ride my bicycle to it. It's a beautiful day to be outside, but a lot of editing to do and filming inside, so gotta do that, right? Ohayo, Mogul Pictures. Hello, hello. Okay, so yeah, today, I got to thinking about my mom because, as many of you guys know, hi Anna, thank you. Glad you caught one of my live streams. I was thinking about my mom because, back in Hawaii, she's still recovering. And yeah, I got to thinking about her, and I thought maybe I'd talk a little bit about my mom and how she became the strong woman she is. My mother is a very strong woman, and thank you, Kirsten, for the compliment. Thank you. uh, and, I thought I share a little bit about my mother. Okay. And hopefully I don't get emotional like the last time. I'm probably going to be okay today. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or whatever, I'll try to answer it in between my story. And this story is probably going to be not so long. Mochi-mochi-san, konnichiwa. You guys are amazing. In Florida, hi. Oh, yes. Okay, so my mom is okay right now. I know a lot of you guys ask about my mom, and she's not completely okay, but she's recovering. She's moving a lot more, and she's eating a lot more from what I hear from my sister. And I'm gonna be trying to talk to my mother today. Hopefully, someone will answer the phone over there. Yeah, because I kind of want to hear my mother. I want to talk to her directly instead of going through my sister. I look pale? Do I look pale? Really? Oh, I think my tan is slowly fading, and so I'm actually naturally pale. And Jean, I'm not orange. Usually I'm not orange. That was my orange shirt's fault. So just to let you guys know. Okay. All right. So let's see. So my mother was born in Shizuoka. She was born in Shizuoka in a little town called Okitsu, and it's a very quaint town right near the ocean. So obviously the seafood is very good. Okitsu or Shizuoka is famous for things such as shirasu, which are like I don't know what you call it in English, but they're like these small little white fish, and they're delicious. You can eat them raw, and you can also eat them steamed. I like them steamed the best. And they're also known for sakura ebi, which are these tiny shrimp, and that's really delicious too. And they're known for wasabi, one of the best teas in the world. I think the tea from Shizuoka is better than the tea from Kyoto, to be honest with you. And they're also known for fish, but very, very delicious. And so she was born there, and she used to tell me that she used to always play uh, play at the beach. Um, there was a beach right by her house, her family's house. Now, when you go there, there is no beach. The ocean is still there, but I don't know. It's she told me that it's not the same as when she was younger. No one can actually play there anymore. So that's kind of sad. Um, and then um, I think she was a child. Um, thinking I'm thinking it was just after the war. I think, yeah, it was just after the war, and so Japan was a very poor country. She comes from a family of 8 siblings, so it's a very big family. She has like 8 brothers and sisters, and her father, who is my grandfather, um, made kimono fabric. Kimono fabric. He also made those happy coats. He actually made the fabric, which is why his hands were always stained with dye. I remember visiting my grandparents in Shizuoka, and he was always working. He was always like working with dirty painted hands. That's all I remember. I do have a couple of happy coats back in Hawaii from my grandpa. Maybe one day when I go back, I'll ask my mother about it, and I can wear it and show it to you guys, because he was a very talented artist, to be honest with you. My grandmother, on the other hand, she did nothing. My grandmother was actually from a very rich family, and apparently my grandmother's family did not want her to get married to my grandfather. But my grandfather promised the family that he would take care of her, that she would never have to work. And that's what happened. So my grandmother never worked. I remember my grandmother always sitting at the table, putting moisturizer on her hands. And which is why her hands were always beautiful, always soft. They look like the hands of a teenager, even when she was 80 years old. So that was my grandmother for you. Good night, Anna. Thank you so much for joining me for just a short time. Really appreciate it. Totally appreciate it. So yeah. So who raised the kids? My grandfather. My grandmother raised the kids too, but it was mostly my grandfather. And from what my mother told me, it was her older sisters that actually did most of the housework and the cooking and the cleaning. Now, my mother, hopefully she doesn't watch this, my mother was the rebel in the family. She was the rebel. I hope she doesn't get mad at me for telling you this. But it's, I think it's a makes it interesting, and I think it makes my mother interesting. She was a rebel. She hated getting the hand-me-downs from her older sisters. Her older sisters were always, um, they would do everything that they were supposed to do. They went to learn ikebana, flower arrangement. They went to learn how to make tea. My mother didn't like any of that stuff. So my mother would rebel against that. My mother wanted these red shoes, and the family couldn't afford it. And mock pictures asking, "Are you a rebel too, Shinichi-kun?" That's a question that I will answer in a future live stream. Yeah. You could probably guess, maybe. But anyway, continuing with the story, yeah, she was a rebel. She wanted these red shoes, so she ordered them without her parents' consent, and the bill came later on, and they were furious with her, but my mom didn't care. And she would she wouldn't go to tea ceremony. She wouldn't go learn flower arrangement and all that stuff. She wanted the red shoes because she didn't like getting the hand-me-down. She wanted something that was just her own, which is why she got those red shoes. Okay, now, how she met my dad. Yeah, how she met my dad. Okay, this is something else that I'm not sure my mom would like me sharing with you guys, but it's okay. It's okay. I think it's a cool story. My dad lived in Tokyo, and I think he was singing at that time. He was singing at this cabaret. My family side is all mostly musicians. My father's side comes from a line of musicians and singers. My grandfather was a very, very popular singer here in Japan. His name was Dick Mine. Most of you probably have never heard of him, but he was very, very famous. And so my father and my uncle, they were all singers. One uncle, he still plays the guitar, and everybody else were singing. Kari, yes, Uncle Nobu, yes, exactly. My Uncle Nobu is, yeah, he still performs in Tokyo. And my grandmother was a dancer. So anyway, my mother sneaked off to Tokyo, sneaked off somehow. I have no idea how she sneaked off to Tokyo. And she went to a cabaret. She was not supposed to go to the cabaret because she was forbidden to. Back then, it seems like only lowlifes went to cabarets. I don't know. I don't know. She just wasn't allowed to. It was looked down upon, I think, back then because, you know, it's pretty old-fashioned back then. Yeah, my mom was kind of badass. She was. And that's where she met my dad. And she just fell in love with my dad. You know, my dad was a really good-looking guy. He had charisma. And, yeah. And that's how she met my dad. And my dad liked my mother. Apparently my mother was hot as well. And yeah, he went to Shizuoka with my mother, and they got married. My mother's parents forbid it, of course. They didn't like the idea of my mother marrying a singer, but she did. And it was, you know, good and bad, because my father was not the best person to marry. Seriously, I mean, he wasn't. Sorry, Dad. I have a feeling my dad might watch this because I know he watches my channels and my uncle watches my channel, but I'm pretty sure they won't mind because they're pretty authentic and they're not ashamed of their past. So, sorry, Dad. I'm just telling the truth, okay? And so I remember my mom and I moving to Hawaii when I was 5. So that's about when they got a divorce. That's when they got a divorce. And I might as well talk a little bit about my dad. The reason why they got a divorce is because my dad was a playboy. He was a player, and he could not stop. And not only that, he was also a gambler. So he would gamble away all the money, and that left my mom with no money to take care of the kids. So that's kind of sad. And he was never around to help with my mom, you know, raising the kids. She had to work. She had to go to work. And, you know, she would save up the money. I think she would hide the money in different places around the apartment. And somehow my father would find the money and he would take it and he would gamble the money away. And this is the reason why I had a lot of resentment towards my father for the longest time. My sister is the same. It took my sister longer to actually come to terms with how, you know, terrible my father treated my mother. And most of the stuff about my father we didn't know until later on in life. My mother hid it from us. I think she was doing that to protect us from the truth. But I'm very, very happy that my mother told me that story. So, the reason why we moved to Hawaii, my grandmother on my father's side was living in Hawaii at that time. And back then, you know, maybe still now, but it was tough living in Tokyo because like back then at least, Japan had this thing about image. Uh, I was going to kindergarten, and my mother said that it was within walking distance of our apartment, but if the other parents saw that I walked to school, they would look down on our family. So my uncle Nobu would drive me to school, even though it was right there. He would actually take the long route in his really expensive car, just to show the other parents that I was from a good family, like a well-to-do family, and in that way, the other parents would allow their kids to play with me, something like that. So that's something I don't really remember. I really don't. But so things like that, my mother was experiencing, and so she was having a hard time in Tokyo raising us. It was hard, emotionally, mentally, and financially because my father was taking all the money. So my uncle Nobu decided that maybe it might be better for us to move to Hawaii where my grandmother was, and we couldn't afford it. So my uncle Nobu bought the tickets for me and my mother, and we left to Hawaii, just the two of us. And where is my sister in this picture? Well, we had to leave her behind because that's all the money we had. And so it was just me and my mother in Hawaii for maybe 6 to 8 months. I don't remember, and the details are not clear. And then after that, shortly afterwards, my uncle sent my sister over. And this is why my sister has a very close relationship with my uncle Nobu. Uncle Nobu is kind of like her father. And Uncle Nobu is a great uncle. I'm trying to rebuild a relationship with my uncle again, as well as my father. My uncle just wrote me yesterday on Facebook. He's pretty social media savvy actually, and he was having dinner with my father. He was having yakitori with my father last night, and he said, let's go eat again. So I'll probably meet him sometime after I come back from San Francisco. Cool guy. So that's why we went to Hawaii. And of course, we went to Hawaii. My mother didn't speak the language, so what can she do? What can she do, right? And so she worked for a bar. She worked for a bar because my grandmother's younger sister was also working at a bar. It was near Ala Moana Shopping Center on Kona Street. I remember these strange details. Deborah, she chose Hawaii because my grandmother lived there, and so that's why we went to Hawaii. And so she started working for the bar, and from what I hear, this is also another not so great story. I love my grandmother. The grandmother that was in Hawaii, I was like her favorite kid, which is also good and bad because I remember my grandmother so well. I loved her so much. So when she passed away, it affected me in a way I never thought I would be affected. But I loved her so much because she just favored me. The bad thing about that is that she didn't treat the other kids the same way, like for example my sister. And my sister remembers that. And so remembering my grandmother brings back happy memories but also sad memories when I think about what my sister went through with my grandmother. She remembers all that and it hurts her, so that kind of sucks. And yeah, but I love my grandmother. My grandmother wanted to adopt me. She wanted to take me away from my mother. And, once again, I mean, thank you, Grandma, but, my mom was like, hell no, you're not going to take away my son. She was actually wanting to pay for me. She was going to pay a lot of money for me. Once again, thank you, Grandma, but, you know, come on, consider my mom's feelings, right? Anyway, my grandmother was taking care of me while my mother was at work at the bar. And my mom would come home from the bar every night with tips, and my grandmother would take most of the tips. My mom didn't know any better, and yeah, she just thought that's how, things are. My mom was pretty naive. So my grandmother was, I love my grandmother, but she wasn't the nicest person either. So that experience kind of toughened up my mom. I think she had friends in Hawaii, and they were telling her, wake up, girl. What are you doing? You have to stand up for yourself, and you have to stop being taken advantage of. So my mom decided to open a bar herself with her good friend, and yeah, they opened a bar together, and that's when she became independent, and my grandmother finally gave up on trying to adopt me, and she moved back to Japan. I still had a really good relationship with my grandmother. We went back to Japan every year to visit both grandparents, and I always still, loved that grandmother that favored me. She was my favorite grandmother until the day she passed away. Let's see. So, going back to my mom. Someone asked if she remarried. She did. And it was a terrible marriage as well. I remember it was short. Fortunately, it was a short marriage. She married this local guy when I was maybe six years old, or I think I was 6. And my sister was already there as well. So maybe, yeah. No, I was 7. My sister was 5. I don't remember. 4 and 6, 5 or 7. I don't know. But, well, the only thing I remember about this guy is that he would physically abuse my mother pretty much every night. I remember this so vividly because I was so scared that he was gonna kill her. And I remember him pinning my mother against the wall with the bed, and yeah, it was horrible. And so I would scream, I would cry my lungs out to try and stop it. And yeah. Okay. Memories coming back. Well, he would choke me, and he would he would grab me by the neck, and he would hit me against the wall until I lost consciousness. The only thing I remember is that every time I cried, it would stop him from hurting my mom. So my mom went through that, and my uncle, another uncle, who's his name is Kenjiro uncle, he came over and he he beat up the guy, and that was the end of that relationship. And that's it. So my mother went through a lot. One moment. Well, that memory was harder to go back to than I thought. Okay. Right. Okay. So, looking back, you see how messed up my mom's life was. And as kids, my sister and I, we were confused as well. My mother had to work, so we were raised mostly by babysitters uh, that we didn't really care for. And I think that's why my sister and I, we both rebelled. We were both rebellious kids. We were not the best of kids. Not that I did anything really bad. I just, I don't know, I just wasn't a good kid. I tried to be a good kid, um, but I think my mom was really stressed out with how her life was. She was having such a hard life. She started, running her business. Her two failed marriages. I probably her confusion at being in a foreign country, and so my mother, she also became abusive to both my sister and I, and so we were very confused kids, and of course when we were that age we couldn't understand what was going on, and this is what uh, connects my sister and I. This is what makes our relationships so strong um, because we had this experience as kids, and there were so many times when my sister and I we would just dream about the day that we could move out, and you know make our lives happier. And so back in Hawaii, when we were talking about family, like we think it's such a miracle that we actually have such a great relationship with each other, as well as my mother and my mom and my father, for that matter. Um, coming from what we went through back then. Back then, it was just chaos and just unhappiness every single day. And yeah, but anyway, so I'm trying to stick with my mom's story, not about me and my sister. Maybe I'll talk about that next time. That's kind of hard to talk about, but I don't know. Anyway, we all grew. Just wanted to share a little bit about what my mother went through and what made her a strong woman. Um, Me being rebellious didn't help. My sister being rebellious didn't help, and it made my mother even angrier. And of course, we as kids didn't give a shit. But as I got older, I decided, I don't know, I started looking at my mother in a different way. Um, I came out to my mother as gay, and she took it really, really hard. And it took her 2 years to finally accept who I am. Uh, I ran away from home when I was 17. I left because it was too hard to live, with my mother and my sister, because they were always fighting. Um, every single day, really. My mother, she didn't like the fact that I was gay. She basically disowned. She said she disowns me as a son. So I thought, okay, I'll just leave and try to find my own happiness. I went back 2 years later because I missed my mom and my sister, and they kind of changed a little bit. They weren't fighting as much anymore, and my mother finally had a talk with me, and she said that she accepts me for who I am, and so that really meant a lot to me. It really did. And I think looking back, my mom had a really difficult life. I think I mentioned in Hawaii when I cried, about how my mother wanted to commit suicide, because of everything that was happening to her. But and the only reason why she wanted to live, she had the will to live, was because she had to take care of the kids. So just knowing the history of my mother, even though she wasn't the perfect mother, makes me love her. And so that's a little bit about my mother's story, and that's the reason why my mother is such a tough cookie. So yeah, that's the story of my mom, and that's all I know about my mom, really. My mother doesn't share details about her life to me. I think she has a lot of things that she doesn't want us to know. But hopefully, maybe one day, she'll feel that she can talk to me about stuff that would really make me happy. So, anyway, thank you for listening. Hope you guys found that interesting. And maybe one day I'll talk about my dad, because I did find out some things about my dad recently that made me understand my dad a lot more, made me not hate him. I never really hated my dad after my 30s, to be honest with you. Before that, I despise my father. Seriously. I blame my father for everything. But after that, I kind of forgave him. I accepted who he was. I am grateful for my father, because if it weren't for my father, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I might look different. I like the way I look. um, my father is charismatic. Maybe I get my personality from him. So, thank you, Dad. Anyway, that's it. That's the story about my mom and my father. Yeah. So now let's talk about something else, shall we? Because that's some heavy stuff. That's pretty heavy for me. But on this channel, this kind of stuff I want to talk to you guys with. I think I enjoy sharing my past with you guys, and that way you get to know why I'm the way I am, why my sister's the way she is. My sister is not as open or as brave as I am. I think she has a harder time dealing with her past issues. I hope that she can face them, and not be so afraid. Yeah, I was worried about my sister. Okay, so yeah, let's chat about something else. Do you guys have any questions for me? Thank you, Yuka. I'm glad that my story gives you hope. That's the other reason why I talk about my past. I think even things that happen in the present, because I know a lot of people have gone through shitty times and are going through hard times. But I do want to let you guys know that things do get better. There is hope. Things do get better, really, seriously. Yeah. Okay, so any questions? Hey, Jason Reedy, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, as always, it's always nice to see you guys. Okay, Kontiki B, thank you for your comment on my shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts. Thank you. So a little bit more about my San Francisco trip. Well, nothing much to say, except that it is a solo trip. I've been planning this trip for about 6 months. The reason why I decided on San Francisco is number one, Erin Uber, our wonderful moderator, is there, and I really want to go and visit her. She's always in the hospital. She's not in the best of health, yet she is so amazing. She's on the live streams moderating every week, sometimes from her hospital bed, and so I wanted to go and see her again, spend a little more time with her because the last time I didn't really get to spend much time with her. I want to get to know a little more about her, and I want to give her a bit of um, I don't know, happiness. I don't know, I don't know. So that's why I chose San Francisco as my destination, and I'm going alone because some of you guys know that I've had this fear of traveling solo. I used to travel solo when I was um, 19, I think 19, 20. Somehow along the way, I don't know, I always traveled with friends or a lover or a boyfriend or my mother or my sister. And so I became a little bit scared to travel alone, especially since I started getting panic attacks. And I don't know, the older I get, I just got scared and I thought, I have to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge myself and just experience something new. And I don't know, maybe learn something from this trip. And San Francisco is a city I haven't really explored enough. Yeah, and yeah, it's a place I've always wanted to go back to. So that's the reason why I'm going to San Francisco. I'll be there for approximately 10 days, and most of the time I'll be spending it alone. But if you guys are in San Francisco, it'd be great to have meals with you guys. Um, I'm looking forward to traveling, alone, of course. So I have some time for myself to think and gather my thoughts. But meal times are kind of lonely, when you're alone, right? So yeah, if you guys are in San Francisco, let's go get a bite to eat or have coffee. That would be amazing. So that's my San Francisco plans. Thanks, Heather. I appreciate it. And um, yeah, Nosh Abroad. I wonder who else is in San Francisco. I know that Guy Matz is in San Jose, and so he'll be coming to San Francisco. I would definitely. I'm gonna be there over Halloween, so I would love to go to Halloween on Castro with you guys, Nosh, and anyone else who is in San Francisco. Can we do that? Can we do that? Let's go and get a couple of drinks, and you guys can see my Asian flush happening. That would be kind of cool. What do you guys think? Yeah, I need to have some fun. I really do. A1, sorry. So A1's question is, do you have any tips on how to deal with negative thoughts that crawl in your head like you are useless, no one loves you, or you are the most horrible person? To be honest with you, I don't anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. I worked on myself. It took a lot of effort. I know it's hard, A1, but it's a process and you have to continually work on that. And you don't have to do it alone. We're all here for you, A1. So don't give up. Okay, stay strong, and you know that you have a safe place to come to here, as well as Tabi Eats. We're all here for you guys, for you, A1. Catliv, thank you so much for the super chat. Super appreciate this. My wife and I are a same-sex couple expecting twin boys in the next month. We love your channel so much. Any chance you could shout out my lovely and very pregnant wife, Liana? Oh, well, hi, Liana and Catliv. Hey, and congratulations on your baby. Oh, it would be awesome if you could send me a photo when your baby is born. That would be so cool. Let's see. Let's see who else. Sorry, I'm just scrolling. Pamela says Halloween is so crazy in San Francisco. Oh yeah, I hope it's still crazy. That would be good. I need some crazy in my life, guys. I really do. I do. I need some crazy in my life. Um, Courtney in San Francisco says the caster is not as insane as it was like 10 years ago, but it's still fun. Okay, that's okay. That as long as it's a little bit crazy, that would be okay. Let's see. I'm just scrolling, so I can read your messages. Okay, Satur, you're back in Japan. I sure am. I've been back in Japan for about a week now, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Um, Pockified is asking, where else do you plan to explore in San Francisco? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm staying in a cheap hotel in near Union Square. It's the hotel that Satoshi and I stayed the last time, and it was a pretty nice hotel and super convenient place. So we like it, and it was also one of the more reasonable hotels in the area because San Francisco is super expensive. It's crazy, um, but for exercise, I don't think I need to go to a gym because all the hills in San Francisco, right? So I'll just walk the hills. I love walking, and I definitely want to go to the Castro because I haven't really explored the area. Uh, I would like to explore the Mission District more. What else? What else is there? I went to Fisherman's Wharf the last time. But I don't know, maybe I'll go there again. Oh, I would like to visit that place near Fisherman's Wharf. It's like a little Italy place. Um, but yeah, that place looks kind of interesting. I would like to ride a bicycle across um, the Golden Gate Bridge to the other side. Um, I would like to do that. And let's see, what else? And eat some really good food. I want to eat. Oh, Chinatown. I want to explore Chinatown as well. And I want to eat really good Chinese food. Like Americanized Chinese food's okay. I want to eat good Chinese food. I would like to eat a mission style burrito because I heard that's a thing and whatever that's delicious. And I would love to eat some really nice bread and pastries. I've been dieting for a month and I've lost a little bit of weight and I'll be dieting until the day I leave to San Francisco. So yeah, I think I deserve some good food in San Francisco. Let's see. Catlive. Speaking of bicycles, have you biked Amsterdam yet? Not yet, but I will be doing that next year. I've already decided I'm gonna do that. Thank you, Gene, for pushing me to do that. Um, I've I already got my guidebook, and yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait to go. Yeah, really looking forward to that. So anybody in Amsterdam wanna have coffee with me? Let's do it. Sure. A1 has another question. How do you deal with fear of loud noises because you've witnessed abusive or traumatic situations? Well, this is something I don't deal with. How do you deal with fear of loud noises? Anybody have an answer to that? I'm sorry, A1. I don't have an answer to that. I'm not afraid of loud noises. I used to go clubbing. Um, let's see. Will Satoshi be joining you for the cycling trip? Most likely, yes. Most likely. But I probably want to go first and be there for like maybe 6 days by myself. And then I'll have Satoshi join me later on. That's my plan right now. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Nosh Abroad says, Sheena wants to go to Amsterdam. When are you going? I'm thinking of going sometime after the winter she's in because I heard winter is brutal. So, yeah, maybe April or May. Yeah, I can't go anywhere between January and March because of the Singapore thing that I'm doing. So it has to be after that. And thank you, Jean. One for starting your solo travel adventures. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, oh, Alisa, I says I love Portos. Do they have a Portos in San Francisco? Yeah, I wanted to go. Mindy's mom was gonna take us, Satoshi and I, when we were in LA, but we were just so busy there. Um, yeah, is there a port tourist in San Francisco? If there is, I would definitely want to do. I'd go to that. Okay, Aiden Makino, hey, good to see you. Since you're going to Amsterdam, what's your stance on weed? Well, I I don't really have a view on it, to be honest with you, because here in Japan, weed is not a thing. It's super, super like forbidden to do. And when I lived in Hawaii, I never did it. Sachur, did you lose weight? Yeah, I did lose weight. Thank you for noticing. Um, uh, in Hawaii, a lot of people do weed. I mean, they call it pakalolo in Hawaii. Remember Mindy's mom? So when we were younger, my sister smoked weed. I think she still does. Oops. But yeah, my sister smoked weed. Her friends did. A lot of my friends did. Not my friends, but uh, people around me smoked weed. But for some reason, maybe because everyone smoked weed, I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it smelled, and I didn't even smoke. My mother smoked, my father smoked, and my sister smoked at one time. But I was always the type where if everyone did it, I didn't want to do it, especially if it's expensive and it's not particularly good for your health. Um, so that's just the way it was. I just never did it. I wouldn't mind trying it. Maybe I'm not sure in Amsterdam, but I'm not sure though. I'm kind of scared because I never tried it. I've never did it before. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here we go. Uh, um, A1. Sorry, back to my first question. Do you have any tips on working on negative thoughts like I described? Has anything helped you overcome it? Well, um, like I said, and I think I mentioned this before, but I read books. I do read self-help books, I admit, and they do help me. They do. A1, I I had to work on myself, obviously because of my childhood trauma, ever since I was 12. And I remember going to the library when I was um, 15. I think I was 15. I went to the state library in Hawaii and I found a self help book. That was my first self help book ever. And it really helped me because until then, no one ever told me that loving yourself was a thing. No one did. And a book taught me that. And from that point on, I tried to work on myself. So that's what I do. Nothing that people said really helped me. It was all about um, uh, working on it by myself. I didn't go to a therapist or anything. So yeah, just the fact that I wanted to change. I felt like I needed to change, and I wanted to be happy. My desire to want to be happy was stronger than anything else, and wanting to overcome my fears and things that I didn't like about myself. So it's just digging deep inside and just working on those issues and not being afraid to face them. Sorry, I hope that helped. I'm not sure if that's a good answer. Sorry, A1. I'll try better next time. Okay, here we go. uh let's see, are there any more questions? uh okay, a lot of talk about narcotics here. uh okay. Oh yes, I remember. Okay, someone asked me if I'm thinking of going to New York, and that is something I definitely want to do in 2018. In 2018, I have this list of places I want to go. Um, do I plan to go to Seattle or the Pacific Northwest? I definitely want to go to Seattle for sure. Seattle is definitely on my list, and New York definitely. Because the last time I was in New York was during the YouTube thing in 2019. Sorry, Alice. 2019. We can't go back in time, can we? Um, we didn't get to explore New York at all. We were there mostly for YouTube, and so that was torture for me. That was super torture for me. So I want to go to New York again. And Louis Ware says, Shinichi, what movie are you going to see? You know what? Anyone want to go to the movie with me? The movies with me in San Francisco. I love going to watch movies at movie theaters in America. And I'm already thinking of going to see a couple of movies. I have no idea what's playing, but I just want to go to a movie in San Francisco. So if you want to go to the movies with me with popcorn, that would be great. That would be great. I'd love to go to movies. Or else I'd be going by myself. Let's see. And Grace and Mindy's mom. Yes, 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 yes. I'm gonna try to go to LA next year as well. Oh, Queen the movie. That's a movie I'd like to go to. Um, yeah. Amazing. Okay. Well, okay, so I've been babbling for like 51 minutes. I think it's long enough, don't you guys think? Bridget 901. One more question. Are movie theaters different over there in Japan? It's pretty much the same, to be honest with you. I take that back. I take that back because I noticed the movie theaters in America these days are very, very luxurious. The seats are like recliner seats, and they have like food. They have some theaters have food. The theater I go to in Hawaii, every single theater has recliner seats, and they serve alcohol, and they serve like rice bowls and things like that. So it's amazing. It's so it's such a great experience for me. I love it. I really do. Um, Damu says food in theaters are too expensive. I do agree with that. The theater food in Japan is a little cheaper, I think, but we don't have great food. We unfortunately, and the seats are just the normal seats. So we have no recliner seats unless you want to pay very expensive premium. They do have some recliner seats in the Roppongi Theater, but I think it's like $40. I don't know. It's really expensive. It's super expensive. And if you guys go to the movie with me in San Francisco, you'll notice that I'm like a popcorn fan. I can't stop eating popcorn. So don't be surprised if I eat it all up. Okay, so I'm gonna be in San Francisco. I'm leaving here on October 24th, and I'm arriving in San Francisco October 24th as well, because we're one day ahead, and I'll be there for 10 days, I believe. I'll check later. Yeah, hopefully I get to meet many of you over there. Hopefully we can all party together in Castro. I think it'll be fun going drinking with you guys. And I think you guys will find me different with alcohol, which is why I never drink on camera. Yep. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this live stream. I really appreciate it. Always enjoy chatting with you guys. Thank you to my amazing moderators and my wonderful friends around the world. I love you all. And have a great week wherever you are. A1, take care. Jean, take care. Louis, take care. And hope to see you guys on my next live stream. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Maybe I'll take a nap now. Take a nap.